To the second baseman, Cano. The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time. Who settles under this ball, but then drops it. Nobody at first. Incredible. What are you doing?
I've come to a point in my career where winning is the most important thing.
The promise is a cutoff man. Shot to the plate. Out the plate.
In a way that the Yankees were like disrespectful to the game of baseball.
Out of the game, there's a fly ball deep to left. It's on its way. There it goes. And the Yankees are going to the World Series.
Here he comes on the run. And now fisticuffs.
To have an opportunity to win and win big, hopefully in October.
Hello, citizens of New York. Welcome back to a brand new franchise mode commentary taking over the New York Yankees. This historic franchise has not won a World Series since 2009. It has been a long time since their glory days have been upon them. And in the same way we tried to bring glory back to San Francisco, we're going to do it here again in New York with the Yankees. Trying to amend the Game 5 collapse that happened in this past year and bring back the tradition of historical success to this franchise, bring back fundamental baseball and some victories, some World Series titles along with that. So, like we did with San Francisco, if this is your first time watching, we simulate through the first year of the regular season, which technically was this past real life season. So all the stats and everything don't really matter. We don't really care about that season. You can see the record there, 89-73. We actually didn't even make the playoffs, which is kind of funny in that simulation. But just want to call out a couple things that happened throughout that year that were of note. Some big trades happened throughout that year. So only a couple of them, thankfully. There wasn't a lot. But some headliners. Tristan Casas sent from Boston to Seattle for Ford and Montez. Baltimore was very active. They acquired Vladdy from Toronto in exchange for Beavers, Haskin, and Salazar. And Caminero was also sent to Baltimore for Jackson Holiday. So a big prospect or, borderline major league ready players right there with high ceilings. And now we're into the offseason and a couple more trades happen. Ryan McMahon was traded to Arizona for Nelson and McCarthy, and Brandon Lau was also traded to Baltimore for Kremer, Vavra, and Young. So Baltimore being very active hurts us already in a division that, in real life is getting very competitive, and Baltimore being very active in this universe. And just want to call out a couple of the big free agent signings. You can kind of see here on your screen now some of those big ones that went down. Juan Soto went to the Angels of all places on a massive deal. Walker Buehler went to Detroit. Christian Walker stayed in Arizona. Corbin Burns went to San Francisco just like we had last time. We signed Max Fried a little bit less than what he signed for in real life just because of the way the salary cap works in this game. Had to offer him a little bit less, but we got him to that 8-year deal. And Sasaki, in order to get him in the game, we had to have him on the Yankees, have his contract expire so he would be a free agent this year, and the Rays picked him up. So those are kind of the big name free agents that have been signed so far. And that kind of leaves us with our roster, and there's a couple moves we still have to do. We still have to do the Cody Bellinger trade and the Devin Williams trade, but we're waiting on those to get taken care of. But right now, looking at what we have in our system and what we're going to be going with into this year. So starting pitching is pretty much set. You got Cole, Fried, Rodon, Heel as your top four. Cortez will be traded in that Devin Williams deal. Marcus Stroman, we need to unload somewhere. And then Clark Schmidt will round out that top five there. Bullpen-wise, it's not horrible. Would definitely need a plus lefty arm in here, but Fernando Cruz in that trade for Jose Trevino is here. Leiter Jr., Loizaga, a lot of the guys that are here in real life are still on this team. Luke Weaver, and like I said, Devin Williams will be back there once we get that trade done. We have Austin Wells behind the plate. We'd like to get a better defensive catcher to kind of play that backup role for us this year. Paul Goldschmidt we signed like they have him in real life. Still have DJ LeMahieu in the system. And that kind of leaves that second base, third base question mark, which is where we kind of sit right now in this real-life free agency at the recording of this video. So Jazz can either play one of those positions, either third or second. We have Oswaldo Cabrera, as well as Oswald Peraza, who can play those positions. We can let them battle it out. Or we can go get another guy, which I am leaning towards just based on where we are in this organization and wanting to be a true contender right out of the gate. Volpe will be the shortstop. We're going to slide Jason Dominguez over there in left field to at least start the year. We can always upgrade from him if necessary, but we'd like to give him the chance. Aaron Judge will slide back over to right. Cody Bellinger will be in center. And then we have Stanton doing the DHing. So it's really backup catcher, second base, third baseman, position, and then a lefty reliever is really what we need to take care of still. There are a couple of targets that we've already looked at to acquire via trade. Free agency, there really only is Alex Bregman available, who really makes sense. But I personally don't think he is a fit here in Yankees, nor do I think he'll really sign there in real life. So I kind of try and keep it realistic in that way. So we're going to be looking for the trade market, and there are a couple of guys available. We've done some pre-scouting here in the likes of what we'd like to go after. They're all in the NL. First one being from the Rockies, Brendan Rodgers. This guy had a pretty strong year last year, plays a good second base, good contact hitter, would fit in well into that lineup, also has some pop, could play third if necessary as well. The only issue is he only has 1 year left before he's a free agent and would need to be paid. So that hurts us long-term, but would help us out this year. The other one from the Pirates is Ke'Bryan Hayes. The reason why we like him is he plays Gold Glove caliber defense over there at third. Solid hitter as well, but he's also locked into that just under $9 million contract for the next 6 years. So that would line up well with a lot of the guys we have currently on this roster. It's another guy we're looking at. And then from the Phillies, Alec Boehm, another guy who hits pretty decently, plays defense pretty well, but he only has 2 years left of control versus some of those other guys that are more controllable long-term. So we have some options. I'm going to see how some of this free agency plays out, as well as some trades to see who is the best fit for us there at third/second. We're going to go get a backup catcher and a lefty reliever in some of these trades. So I'm going to simulate along here. I'm going to take care of some of the trades, and I will come back if anything crazy happens when these big free agents continue to get signed, let you know where they go, and when we complete the trades and who we're getting in return. And there's a big free agent off the board. Tanner Scott signs with the White Sox of all places. Interesting because they don't really need a closer since they don't have a lot of games where they need to close it out. But interesting signing there. Jack Flaherty joins the Royals. It's a big pickup for them, helping bolster their rotation as they look to get back to the postseason as well. And the Orioles continue to bolster their rotation. They re-signed Corbin Burns, and they add Blake Snell to a 5-year deal. So continuing to make our division harder, but we like to see that. All right. After a long, tedious back and forth between trades and the offseason, getting all the lineups and rosters constructed, we are finally here at the start of year one with your New York Yankees. The new look Yankees, after a big offseason, losing Juan Soto, a big piece to their offensive success last year and their success as a team. But we've added in a lot of other places to help construct this roster and make it a little bit deeper overall. So we can go through the pitching rotation first. It's going to look fairly similar to what it was going into the offseason. But Garrett Cole, your true ace, followed up by Max Fried, free agent acquisition. Carlos Rodon, that's a nasty top three of your rotation. And then you have Luis Gil and Clark Schmidt rounding that out. One of the better rotations in baseball, should give you length and quality starts throughout the regular season. The bullpen there's a couple guys in here that can get flopped around between the between the Major League and AAA throughout the regular season, depending on how performance goes. But based on what kind of the computer had set and where guys slot in, this is who we have in the bullpen to start the year. You can tell we definitely could use another lefty reliever in there. But if we go down to AAA, we have the likes of which in Victor Gonzalez and Tim Hill. We traded away Tim Meza, who was still here, just wasn't worth his salary. We also have Mark Leiter Jr. and Scott Efros here in the system that we can always bring up for some righty help there as well. AA doesn't really have much going on there in terms of pitching and prospects. That is the one area I would say the Yankees are weak, is their pitching depth. And if you might notice, we do not have Chase Hampton anymore on this roster because we went out and made a trade for our third baseman. And I would have shown all this, but there was a lot of tedious nonsense that I had to get through just to get to here. So this is how the lineups are constructed and how we have guys slotted positionally. So Jazz slides over to second base. We have Cody Bellinger in center, Judge in right, Stanton DHing, and then Austin Shenton, third baseman from the Rays. He was a trade proposed to us by the Rays straight up for Shenton for Chase Hampton. Give you a look at his stats. He's actually off to a good start this year, but kind of that power hitting left-handed bat to replace Juan Soto was the thinking here. He had his first year in the majors last year, and what I liked about him is he had 6 years under control, and the first 4 years is only making $30,000. Of course, in real life, he would be making the league minimum playing on the major league roster, but that's just the way the contract is right now. So, but big story, 6 years of control, third baseman, good ceiling, good power hitting left-handed bat to kind of replace Soto. That was the thinking there with Chase Hampton, who was in the low 70s. I know he was an A potential, our top pitching prospect, but he's not going to make the major league roster for at least 2 more years, I would think. And with the likes of our starting rotation already, I mean, at best he'll be a 5th starter, 4th starter for a while. And we're in a win now mode. So this trade made sense. Like I said, it was proposed to us. Wasn't a guy I had on the radar, but a great fit for what we needed, and Tampa can see what they can turn Chase into there. So that solved our third base problem. Austin Wells is our catcher, but we picked up Reese McGuire as our backup catcher to kind of replace him or to try and help out. Wells got hurt in that first game. That's why he's not in the starting lineup. But controllable guy, good at pinch hitting, good defensively. It's kind of what we need out of our backup catcher in the system. Down here, I'll go through it a little bit more in detail, but we also picked up Austin Hedges, who's just a pure defensive catcher if we need to make some changes there to our backup catcher. But again, it's a backup catcher. I'm not too worried about it. Volpe at short, Jason Dominguez in left, and then LeMahieu gets a start against righties, and then Goldschmidt gets a start against lefties. Just the way it's shaked out makes sense to me. And then we have Peraza and Cabrera on the bench as kind of utility infield subs and good, rest players for everybody in here. But that's the team. That's what we have on the Major League roster. We have some good depth in the organization across the board. Jeter Downs here at second base, kind of an infielder. Oscar Gonzalez, an outfield prospect here, who certainly is on his way to the majors. Ben Rice, the other catcher who we have, trying to grow him, trying to have him play every day here in AAA and continue to improve rather than being on the bench. J.D. Davis down here. Everson Pereira is in here. Roderick Arias is here. Trent Grisham is here. So lots of depth here in AAA that we can go to if guys are struggling, if we need to improve the bench, if we have injuries, whatever it might be. And then in AA, we have Spencer Jones here, who we're still trying to grow into a top prospect the way he's been labeled as. Carlos Tavares is another catcher we have. And then Lombard Jr. as well as an infielder prospect. So just giving these guys some time to play every day rather than being on the bench or platooning in AAA is kind of how we thought would be best to handle that situation. We do lack a true leadoff hitter, I would say. Jazz really isn't a true leadoff guy, but we really don't have anybody else to slide up there. Maybe Volpe as the season goes on and try and get a more left-right matchup, but that's the way it's going to stack up to start the season. We're going to be pretty proactive with this Yankees team. We should be a playoff team, but we do have a really competitive division, just like we did in the NL West with the Giants. The Orioles made a ton of moves. We can actually take a look at their team here, as they were probably the most active in the past few years with everything they've done. So They didn't re-sign Corbin Burns. They had lost Corbin Burns to the Giants. That's right. And then picked up Blake Snell. I think I said that they re-signed him earlier. I get confused sometimes between those orange logos. But they added Blake Snell to the rotation. So even with losing Burns, they still have a formidable rotation, a solid bullpen there. Rushman's still there. Vladdy was their big pickup last year to play first base for them. They picked up Brandon Lau as well. Looks like they signed Brandon Drury there at second base. Additionally, Junior Camaniero's there. They still have Gunnar and Kowser and Mullins. Santander re-signed. So lots of competition there in Baltimore. And then, of course, the Rays, they signed Sasaki. We traded them Hampton, who's a couple of years away still, but going to be a good team. So it's not going to say it's going to be easy to win the division, but we should at least be in a position to win the division for sure, as we can get Austin Wells back into the lineup there. I would be surprised if we're struggling to make the playoffs just with our pitching rotation, some of the stars we have there offensively between Judge and Stanton and Bellinger of the likes. We should be able to score a bunch of runs, and with our starting pitching, hopefully hand it off to a bullpen that may not need to work as hard. So that's the thought process for this team and where we are. Like I said, we're trying to target some starting pitching prospects to reload that pool. We could use some outfield help, and then kind of in the infield there as well, second and third. Still kind of not necessarily being a weakness, but something that we need to keep an eye on and continue to add to as we might be trading some of these guys away in a little bit. So we're just going to take it week by week with this team, at least at the start of the year, to make sure that we're performing as expected. Just going to go through the scouting each week. We're going to mainly scout probably for the first 2-3 years, I would think. And then this team, they do have some aging players, so we may not be truly on autopilot. But I would think that in the future, this should be a playoff-bound team, especially with our payroll ability and some of the big contracts that are going to be coming off the books as we continue to progress through this franchise and look into the future. So couple minor league guys getting banged up there. Oh, and now I'm seeing the Twins logo pop up. That's where we sent Marcus Stroman. We had to do some juggling around. It was Marcus Stroman for Chaffin, who was our left-handed reliever there. You saw in the lineup or in the pitching rotation, and Christian Vasquez, who was going to be our backup catcher. But because of the salary and because of the issues of trying to get Cody Bellinger over here, I realized I should have turned on forced trades. It would have made it a lot easier. But we had to send Vasquez over there to Chicago in that deal to get Cody Bellinger. That was the only other piece that they got that they wouldn't have in real life in that situation. But that's kind of how the trades went. I don't think I'm missing anything else in terms of what we had or what we still needed there. But get through this first month, see where we stack up across the rest of the AL, see who's performing here for us. And as we look to be off to a little bit of a rough start, as 12-16 record, the Rays are actually atop of the division there. But we'll just keep going along here. The deal, scouting pitchers, scouting outfield, all that jazz. Focus on center field, and we'll go right field probably be the best for those two positions of need. Like I said, I just wanted to get through this first month and kind of see where we are. So 13-17, not the greatest start. 4.5 games back of a wild card. It looks to be pretty competitive right out of the gate, so we definitely need to get our act in order. We can kind of see who's performing. Not too worried about the starting pitching. I feel like they'll work themselves out throughout the year. Bullpen-wise, I think we could use another lefty in there. Looks like Underwood Jr. could be the odd one out. So let's see if we can make that adjustment right away here. Hopefully Underwood doesn't get claimed, as we are sending him through waivers, and we bring up Tim Hill, who can be an effective lefty for us there. Take a quick peek at the lineups and see if anybody's really struggling or really doing well. So Austin Shelton, look at that. Already 7 bombs, hitting .358. You love to see that. Everyone else kind of doing their thing. LeMahieu struggling. We can get Goldschmidt in there to be your starting first baseman. Like I said, I won't hesitate to make some moves. We are just lacking that leadoff hitter. I think would make a big difference for us. We'll see if Jazz can get hot here now that the season's a few weeks underway. But we do need to get things going a little bit better, I would say, offensively. Let's get Jason Dominguez back in there. Big series here against the Red Sox as we continue to lose games. Looks like we're just not scoring enough. Teams that you think should be automatic in playoffs and just never turns out that way, does it? Just keep going along here. A couple divisional games. Leave Goldie on the bench. Looks like we're winning a couple more games without him anyways. Back to the scouting. So I'll pose this question to you guys as we go through here. Do you think the Yankees in real life have done enough without Juan Soto in their system anymore? Do you think the likes of which in getting Devin Williams and Max Fried and some of the other Goldschmidt, some of the other areas, they might still add someone like a Bregman or just change some of these lineups in here, or go out and make a trade for a better second/third baseman there. So yeah, do you think they did enough? Do you think they should have done more? Are you a Yankees fan watching this video and you're excited for the upcoming season, or does it still give you some hesitations? You kind of just want to see how it all plays out to start the year. Like a lot of people have said, the AL is pretty weak across the board in real life. Not a lot of competition there compared to the NL, especially the NL West, as that division just keeps on getting better and better and better. So, yeah, what's your take on how the Yankees have done through this offseason, as we can look to scout a couple of top prospects here? See if there's anybody in particular. Wow, it's all pitchers, it looks like, to start. So let's just take a look at some of these outfielders. I know we said we wanted to scout some infielders as well to help platoon there, but we can focus on the outfield to start here. So I'm excited for baseball to be back. I mean, it's the new year. I'm ready for it. Luis Gil goes down with a torn pec. 2 to 3 months. That is a loss. Not, out of the guys that we need in our rotation, not one of the worst to lose, but certainly a big loss there. He wasn't even having that great of a year, unfortunately for him. But for us, we move along, see who we can call up here in the system. We don't really have that starting pitcher depth anymore like we used to have. We could just supplement through the bullpen there, trying to see if we have anybody who has decent stamina. Could be a long reliever like Michael Tonklin, but that's not really going to be much. We might even go out and make a trade already. Clark Schmidt's been pitching well, though. He could slide up into that fourth spot. Let's call up Mark Leiter Jr. to help replace that pitching. And what we'll do is we'll make that a bullpen game, essentially. He's got probably the best stamina out of our relievers, so we'll make that kind of a bullpen game and see how things turn out there. Look at that. We won the first one without him. No problem. All right, so we climbed out of that hole. We're actually in first in the division now, 33 and 27. So whatever funk we were in earlier definitely seemed to have been resolved a little bit there. Definitely could use a stud lefty pitcher, so we can target him there. And then may as well scout some shortstops. I know we have a ton of them, but they're always valuable. Can play multiple different positions usually. Never hurts to take a look at them. So, yeah, it looks like the Yankees have kind of found their groove a little bit here. As Shelton goes down, that's a big loss. Broken arm, out for at least a month, probably close to 2. That's a big loss for us, losing that lefty pop there in the lineup. So we're going to have to take a look at that after we get done with some of the scouting here. Just who to target as we near the draft. But yeah, we're definitely going to be a little bit hands-on here, especially at the start. Want to make sure that the team's performing the way it should. Keep an eye on lineups and progress of our younger players and things like that. So what I'll do is, since he's out for a couple of months, let's bring up J.D. Davis to help replace him there in the lineup. We'll leave a vacancy there in AAA. Just bring up Tyler Hardman. You know what? We'll let AAA figure itself out in a minute. But yeah, losing Shelton there definitely hurts. Let's see, Oswaldo Cabrera had been playing first, not doing a whole lot there. Slide Goldie over back to first, and we'll bring in J.D. Davis. Why not? Let him get the start there at least to see. At third base, if there's anything else we can do to the lineups, maybe slide Volpe up a little. I know he's struggling. Maybe put him in the leadoff spot for a couple games, slide Jazz down a little. Maybe that helps balance things out a little bit better. We shall see. And then who do I want to get in? Goldschmidt there at first. Can switch with Cabrera since he does have some pop versus lefties and plays rock solid defensively. So we can take care of that. And then back down here to AAA. So we called up JD. We need to find a replacement there. Who's DHing? You can play third base. Perfect. And then we'll get Trammell in there to DH. Oops. Not really worried about the non-DH factor. Don't know if I want you sliding all the way up. Have you play third. And we have a better DH other than Ben Rice, who's hurt. Not really. So, yeah, we'll just leave him DHing for now. Let's not drag this down any longer than it needs to be. And just keep simulating here. Look at that. Ben Rice is back. Just place him back into the lineup. It's the thing with injuries, man. They can make or break a season. They can make or break a video as well with how long it sometimes takes to get through them. So we'll see how we do without Shelton, without Heel here for a little while. Volpe gets banged up a little. That's definitely a loss for a couple of games. Going up against the Dodgers, wasn't really expecting to win against them anyways. But we can go back, take care of the scouting here. Couple starters looks like worth taking a shot at. Let's look at some first basemen. If there's anybody standing out that could be a potential fit. That was the other thing I forgot to mention with Austin Shelton that we liked. We know he's not solid defensively, which is an area that we were trying to improve upon. However, he can play first base. And if we're looking into the future and where Austin Shelton can really be a factor, we think first base could be a potential home for him as soon as next year. Could be a big lift for us. So Stanton goes down. We've lost a bunch of games and we keep getting injured as well. So nice to beat up on the Blue Jays there. Need some feel-good wins. So it looks like the lineup is going a little bit cold throughout the lineup. Jeez Louise. Anybody in AAA really popping off and want to call up? I mean, Ben Rice is doing his thing. Could swap him out for Austin Wells, Grisham maybe. Some Pereira, not really. Oscar Gonzalez. Why do they have him all the way down versus lefties? That's wild. Could bring him up. But, I mean, we are still winning games, still top of the division. I think it's just a little bit of a rough stretch right here. A lot of veteran players needing some time off, like I said. As long as our starting pitching is continuing to do its thing at the top of the rotation there, I do like our ability to match up against anybody in a 3-game series. It's all about just getting to the postseason right now and trying to go on a little bit of a run. So doesn't look like there's much else there in terms of scouting. So we're just gonna go here, and we're just gonna scout a position a little bit. Let's go international for 1, and let's go east since we're on the East Coast now. Get through another week here. LeMahieu's back. Great. Going out to San Francisco, where I was fired as the GM. For those that were with us, did bring a ring in, so it wasn't all for nothing. Scouting, that's what that was. All right. So let's get rid of you. Let's go shortstop. We already went through shortstops. Let's go third base international. And let's go catchers international. And let's go relief pitchers in the Central. There's usually a bunch of them there. So keep going here. We're done. We've already gotten him back in his first start back. No offensive support. So we near the draft here for this video. Let's dive in to the year 1 draft. And with the first pick in the 2025 draft, the Yankees are going to go with a starting pitcher in Richie Pineiro, however you say that. Welcome to the New York Yankees. 6'5", 4-pitch mix. Liked what we saw there. Bring you guys along for the rest of this. Should be pretty straightforward. Like I said, we're kind of trying to target some starting pitching, but might just go with best available with what is being shown across the board. James Cabrera looks to be a decent outfielder. Not so much of an arm strength there for center field. Don't love that. Francisco Almaza, another starting pitcher. Kind of stats a little bit all over the place there. Okay, let's just add these 2 guys to the queue. David Boggs. Okay, could pick up Arturo here with good potential, but he is 22. Going to be more of a project, if anything. I think it's better to go with one of those other 2 guys here. So we can either add another starting pitcher. It's 21, so it's really not that big of a difference, to be honest. Or we could go with James Cabrera as an outfielder, try and help. But we have a couple of outfield prospects, so you know what? I kind of convinced myself to go after Arturo Alfonso. Hopefully that potential is correct and we can develop him quickly. So we'll add another starting pitcher to the mix in Arturo Alfonso. Welcome to the Yankees. See what else we have here coming up. Not a whole lot here in this draft, or at least that we've scouted and uncovered. I don't hate this other starting pitcher. Take a chance on him. I know he's unranked. We don't really know much about him, but let's take a chance on Abraham Estrada, another starting pitcher. If we can hit on one of those 3 guys, I would see it as a win for our organization and kind of what we need. Adrian Mesa, 6'4", is a second baseman. It's like DJ LeMahieu out there. See if there's anybody else. Couple of outfield projects by the looks of it, or that catcher that was unranked. Could go after Manuel Gomez, more of a contact. It looks to be decent arm strength there. Yeah, let's take a chance on Manuel Gomez. Welcome to the Yankees. And we have an outfielder here, a couple of outfielders to pick from, both 18. Not a whole lot to go off of what's left. Let's go with the guy we scouted in Theodore Gallegos. Welcome to the Yankees, my friend. And I believe this will be our last pick. Thomas Flutie. Couple of unranked guys. Just maybe go for the highest potential in this reliever. Maybe he's something, maybe he's not. Flutie just looks to be probably a high overall pick. Low potential. Yeah, let's go with the reliever and take a chance on Garrett Moore. Maybe you'll turn into something for us. So that'll conclude this year's draft. We don't have anybody in the home run derby. Let's take a look at who is performing there this year. So familiar names: Jordan Alonso, Albies Bichette is a shock. Alonso, Trey Turner, Adolis representing Texas there, and Mike Trout. Get through there, get through the All-Star game. Should be just about set as the Dodgers. How did they even afford to make this move? They're so over the cap. That's crazy. Ryan Helsley goes to the Dodgers. They bring in another premier lights-out arm, trading away Pages and Hope, another outfield prospect there, to the Cardinals. I feel like they could have gotten a lot more back for Helsley there. And we'll take a quick look at the All-Star. So Max Fried, what a free agent signing. I think Yankees fans would be ecstatic if they got that production out of him, leading the way in the All-Star voting. Garrett Cole in there as well from your starting pitching. So, that's the formula for this Yankees team, is to get that done. And then Devin Williams on the back end looks to be having a strong year, 26 saves to a tune of 2.37, making himself an all-star there. Wonder if we'll have a lot in the position ordeal, as in Noah's. A lot of the lineup had gone cold, unfortunately for us. Cody Bellinger made the all-star, so all the acquisitions that you needed for the Yankees are coming through for them. And, of course, Aaron Judge in there as well. Hopefully gets a little bit more power numbers going there. Only 20, kind of on pace for what he did last year. So, okay, so that's your all-star lineup there. We'll get through some of these draft picks, see if we can sign them quickly and get this part done and out of the way. Nice to see some of these guys had some good interest. Who wouldn't want to sign with the Yankees? Maybe a few guys out there, but definitely a profound organization to be a part of there, as the team just keeps on rolling. So I think that starting pitching ability that we have, combined with some of our superstars in the lineup, the ability to drive the ball out of the ballpark, definitely plays a big part in our success here in New York, compared to what we were. I know I keep comparing it to what we had in San Francisco, and maybe I shouldn't keep doing that, but more of a pitching contact defensive approach there, just based on the field and the where we were at that time and what we kind of built around. But definitely a change of pace here in New York and what we have and the ability of what we're able to put together here in the Bronx. So we get close to the trade deadline here. Just kind of want to round things out and see where we sit overall as an organization. Should be getting a few guys back from injury here soon as well. So another big trade happens. Jordan Romano goes to San Diego for it looks like a starting pitching prospect in Omar Cruz and outfielder Jay-Z Bowen. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Sign a few more of these draft picks, or at least try to. Guess not. We'll take it up here to the trade deadline. So he'll be back in a couple weeks, which is good news for us. We've been able to make it through without him. The Reds go and get Zach Galoff from the A's. I guess they're not really the Oakland A's anymore. For pitching prospect Chase Petty and infield prospect Marco Vargas. So definitely looks like a good return there on Galoff for the Athletics, kind of turning one prospect into multiple there. And that's where we're going to leave it. So At the trade deadline, your Yankees have a record of 64-46. We are the top of the division, tied with the Royals for top in the AL, and the Rangers and Astros aren't far behind. Neither are the Twins and the Guardians. So definitely a tough race up here for the wild card and the divisions. So still have to keep our foot on the gas pedal, but you have to like how this team has performed throughout the season so far. Take a quick look at how some guys are performing and maybe where we can add. So, that's got to be one of the best top 3 in baseball right now. Clark Schmidt is doing a phenomenal job in that 4th spot, and then we'll get back Luis Heel to complete that rotation. Bullpen-wise, it's definitely a place we can add. Doesn't look like anybody's really taken off or been doing really well. Tim Hill has been nice since his call up there. Luke Weaver's doing his thing. Yeah, Chaffin doesn't look like a premier left-handed arm that's some of the issues we ran into the last franchise mode go around. We didn't really have the bullpen to close down games in the playoffs. So it doesn't look like we have much here in AAA that's really worth going after, but definitely something to trade from. As far as our offense is concerned, could definitely benefit from a strong leadoff hitter. I know we'll get Shelton back, who will be at third base, so I'm not too terribly worried about that. But if we were to try and upgrade perhaps at first base, would be a position to go after. Even the outfield, I know we've been giving Jason Dominguez the start this year to get a rookie season under his belt, but we're at the playoffs now, and if we were to go after somebody who could help solidify that leadoff spot and play as well defensively in left field, I think that would be a huge plus to us. And we have pieces to trade from here, Oswaldo Cabrera, Peraza, both guys we could move on from. DJ LeMahieu, we'd probably have to trade in a trade just because of his salary. And I wouldn't mind trying to get rid of him. We throw in another prospect or two there to bring in another guy on another team. It would make sense to me. As far as in the system, anybody worth calling up, Ben Rice is having a strong year. That's good to see. Pereira, Oscar Gonzalez is doing his thing. I mean, we could promote internally and go with him, but he definitely is a step back defensively. I know he's got a rocket of an arm. But it is win now mode here for these Yankees. So take a quick look at what's on the block and see if anything stands out. So the Astros with Chaz doesn't really make a lot of sense. They're in a playoff spot. Sal Frelick would be an interesting one, but he doesn't really help out contact-wise in that leadoff spot. So it doesn't really do us any justice there. Jay Cronenworth is another versatile player who might help out there first base-wise. Luke Raley, more of a platoon-based bat, but, could also play first base, so that's one to keep an eye on. I think the Mariners may have been a playoff spot, so it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to go after him, per se. But you never know. You can always make some trades work there. As far as bullpen goes, there's definitely some relievers out here who I like. I know Dylan Tate usually performs well. Same with Colin Holderman there. I like that. Nick Lofton could be a guy we go after here. He's kind of a versatile Swiss Army knife. But again, the Royals are pushing for a playoff spot. Why would they trade a key guy in their lineup there? So it looks like we might have to do it the hard way and go through the bottom of the league and kind of look at their rosters and who we can add, we can put together for this team. So we'll leave this first video there. We'll try and roll these out, the similar cadence, how we had the Giants. Might be a little bit slow at the start, a couple days in between videos, but we like that every other day pace. But let us know in the comments how we did in this offseason and building this Yankees back up to a World Series contender. What pieces do we need to add to push this team into the playoffs and into the World Series once again? So thank you all for watching. We will see you next time.